Ruth, tell us a little bit about Mildred Loving, the character you play in this film.
Gosh, where do I start? Mildred Loving was one half of a couple who altered the Constitution of the United States. No biggie. um, Mildred and Richard. Mildred was part Rappahannock, part black, and Richard was a white man. They were both from Virginia. They both grew up together in a place, a very tiny sort of hamlet village town called Central Point, and they fell in love. And sometimes when you fall in love, you want to get married to the person you're in love with. And so they got married, and then they found out that that was a crime, believe it or not, and they faced 25 years in prison for getting married, unless they left the state. And so thus ensued a 9-year battle to overturn that, and they achieved it. They took their case to the Supreme Court through the ACLU, the American Civil Liberties Union, and they overturned invalidated the miscegenation laws, which meant you couldn't marry someone, a black person couldn't marry a white person. And in doing so, exposed the folly of the one-drop rule and basically legislating on who you can love, essentially, which is ridiculous.
It is powerful watching these two people having to fight the law and the court just to be able to love each other.
Yeah.
Talk a little bit about the research that you did. There's some footage of Mildred, not as much after the court case.
No.
What were some of the qualities, though, that struck out for you?
Watching the archival footage was extraordinary. I mean, what a gift to an actor to have. I mean, extraordinary. And I really do credit Nancy Bursky and her documentary with bringing this couple into the light, because really there was not much attention given to them after the ruling in '67. Really none, and they were quite unassuming and shy and reserved. But watching them interact was extraordinary. Is they radiated, God, there's no words really. They radiated goodness and humanness and beauty and a real, something that I don't think you'd find too often, because they had no affectation. And what really struck all of us was the love that they had for one another. It's almost tangible, the energy between the two. It's the air is thick with their love, and it's in such a respectful, caring, supportive way. Even when they argue, they're still supportive of one another in their different stances, and that really struck everybody.
And Mildred really was a strong woman. I mean, watching the film, it struck me that she's really the proactive one.
Yeah, she's the propeller. Yeah.
Could you talk a bit about that?
Sure. I think that, they weren't used to the limelight. They weren't used to sort of talking. I mean, how many of us would be used to talking about our relationship in terms of, I don't know, in terms of, in legal terms? I don't think we would be, and I don't think we should be. But Richard was very much the more reticent of the two, and I think Mildred took on the mantle of being kind of the spokesperson of this couple, because what was her motivating factor was that she wanted to raise her family where she was raised, and that home was her motivating factor. And I think she would have done anything for that. And I think a lot of people, a lot of women, when it's about their family, I think they do take on that. They take on the challenge. And there was a lot of women of color at that time who who are taking on many different fights, and we just don't hear about them. And I think that what's extraordinary is, you know, through Nancy and Jeff and our film, is that we're hearing about this one particularly extraordinary couple, but I do think there are many, and I think that it's important to tell those stories.
And a part of our history that's not even 60 years old.
No.
And it concerns issues that we're still fighting today, you know, with marriage equality.
Very much so.
What do you hope people get from this film? See it?
I hope that first and foremost they're moved, because I think they will be, and it's a privilege to meet this couple. But I hope that, you know, we shrug off complacency, because I think we can all too easily think, oh, we've done that, we've accomplished that, and I think that we're, you know, the whole world is a work in progress, and we all have a responsibility to contribute to that progression. And our evolution. And I think that this reminds us very much so. And it can be a beautiful thing. It doesn't have to be, it can be painful, but it also can be something that we can all be proud of.